and welcome to our weekly news. I'm Marcela Tomčíková and I'm here to bring you the latest updates, key stories and moments worth your attention. Let's take a look at what happened this week. Let's get started with the situation on the roads as summer lures us into the traveling more. At the same time, the main construction season in the central Bohemian region has also started. Drivers should expect that traffic in the region will be affected by extensive closures in the capital city of Prague as well.
Summer is traditionally the season of peak road construction in the central Bohemian region. Road workers are currently working on dozens of repairs to roads, bridges, and new transport projects across the region.
There are many reconstructions, and at the beginning of July, construction of a new roundabout will start in Nelahozebs. Bridge repairs are also happening, like the one in Rostoklati over the main rail line. Or new road bypasses are being built, primarily in Drahelčice or in Hojovic.
Major projects include finishing the Václav Klement Avenue reconstruction in Mladá Boleslav. Summer traffic in central Bohemia may also be affected by major road closures in Prague. Significant restrictions on Kabelska Street may increase traffic on detour routes north of the metropolis.
The reconstruction of Kabelska Street within the capital city of Prague will significantly impact the northern part of the central Bohemian region, and in the event of any complications, traffic flows could also shift to other parts of the central Bohemian region. The reconstruction will last at least 45 days and will lead to a significant reduction in the capacity of that main road. Therefore, any extraordinary event will naturally have an impact on those detour routes, affecting both individual car traffic and public mass transit.
Alongside large regional projects, local road reconstructions are also continuing, which connect to other transport projects in individual towns and villages.
For example, here in Chalakovic, the reconstruction of Mochovska Street is currently underway, or the reconstruction of Zaluska Street is being prepared. This also has an impact on the construction of the Nevízdy road bypass and the new roundabout on the second-class road number 611.
Central Bohemia is carrying out dozens of transport projects this summer. Drivers should therefore expect temporary restrictions not only on regional roads but also on the routes connecting to Prague.
Just a simple human hug or a human touch. All these basic elements can significantly improve the psychological well-being of seniors, especially those who live in the nursing homes. The Grandmothers Project is built on the power of conscious touch.
The Grandma Project connects trained volunteers with nursing homes and other residential facilities. Their goal is not medical care, but conscious touch and time spent with clients who often lack close contact. Dozens of facilities across the country are currently involved and more practitioners are being trained.
We bring conscious touch and haptic support to nursing homes and various other institutions. It is really about us coming into their individual rooms and bringing them a sense of peace and undivided attention. It is about someone truly noticing the senior, being there with them, seeing their inner story, touching them and rubbing their back, stroking their hand, and spending present time with them, which for a moment seems to slow down.
Women from various professions and life stories are joining the project. The common goal is to offer seniors moments of closeness and attention, which are just as important as the care itself.
At the time when the Academy of Conscious Touch was being founded and hundreds of women were going through it, the idea was born that we could bring that conscious touch to nursing homes or Alzheimer's centers. A map of practitioners was created, women who know how to work with conscious touch. They are trained in our association's project, and each of them travels to several institutions on her own.
They always choose homes in their area. My second grandfather died a month ago, so I don't have a grandfather anymore. And it was actually quite symbolic that I came here to the palliative care unit. I arrived a week after his death, when he could die at home, surrounded by all his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So it was very powerful. And with this awareness, I thought that when we care for our own grandparents and they spend their whole lives caring for us, this grandma mission is a bit like repaying a debt to society so that we do not forget about the oldest among us.
We actually select clients who do not have a family. So any contact from the outside world and something so conscious and intimate is incredibly pleasant for them. because that person comes specifically for them and is there only for them, and since the practitioners are so very sensitive and empathetic, it is an absolute balm for the clients.
The project is expanding to other facilities nationwide. The founders are now training new practitioners so that Conscious Touch can reach as many seniors as possible who are losing regular contact with their loved ones.
The Central Bohemian region has prepared a comprehensive transport strategy to 2050, focusing on the expected increase in population to 1.66 million, which is pushing the existing infrastructure to its limits. The plan, for example, defines key projects such as the Beroun Tunnel, new suburban lines, and the completion of the Prague Ring Road. The estimated implementation costs are up to 1 trillion crowns.
Central Bohemia has created its first long-term transport strategy looking to 2050. This document integrates demographic development, optimal public transport, transport infrastructure, and its financing into a single common plan. The document for the period from 2035 to 2050 also defines key transport projects.
First is the building of high-speed rail lines, which will eventually pass through the Central Bohemian region and Prague. This is simply the key to freeing up our existing railway corridors. Then there is the construction of the new connection 2 in Prague, which is a set of railway tunnels under Prague that will actually allow the Prague rail hub to become passable at all.
Furthermore, there is the Beroun Tunnel, a project that should significantly speed up transport towards the west and Plzeň. Suburban lines like Prague-Kladno or Prague-Brandýs nad Labem are also important, as is the new Prague-Vršovice-Hvězda Bystřice line. Road projects are also essential, primarily the completion of the Prague Ring Road or major regional road bypasses.
But it is not just roads. There are also tram lines, for instance, the construction of the tram line from Divokasharka, followed by the continuation to Odolina Voda and Libeznic, or from the other side towards Jeseník, Čestliš, and on the northwestern edge of Prague, the tram line to Hroměříž.
For Central Bohemia's integrated transport, modern, fast, high-capacity infrastructure is essential. It is impossible to place entirely new trains on unsuitable tracks. The current situation is therefore unsustainable in the long term.
The trains are overcrowded and often run unreliably because they are delayed, and we maintain that if public transport is to function, if the system around Prague and the Central Bohemian region is not to collapse, then we need massive investments in railway infrastructure, because this type of transport is high capacity and it is reliable.
The question arises as to where the region, and by extension the state, will get the funds. According to estimates, this should amount to as much as 1 trillion crowns, which appears to be a staggering sum of money.
But when you calculate it in relation to GDP, it actually involves investments amounting to 0.3% of GDP per year. That is simply an absolutely negligible figure in comparison to what the state spends on money. But it is a figure that will help us resolve the transport problem that is currently paralyzing the entire republic. It is not about the country not having money for these projects. It is more about where we put the money and how we spend it.
The Central Bohemian region will now send the document for comments to Prague, the Ministry of Transport, the Railway Administration, and the Road and Motorway Directorate, and to all neighboring regions as well as other partners.
No more dead spots and interrupted calls in the trains when leaving the capital. Train passengers from Prague will now enjoy a better mobile signal and fast data directly in the tunnels. The Railway Administration has completed the demanding installation of technologies in the Vítkov tunnels, which connect Prague's main station towards Vysočany and Libeň. The project is worth almost 73 million crowns.
A scenario everyone who has traveled by train from Prague knows. You get on at the main station, wanting to browse the internet or listen to music, but the moment the train starts moving, the signal cuts out entirely. The Vítkov tunnels under Žižkov were literally a black hole for mobile networks for years. That is changing now. The Railway Administration has completed the demanding installation of modern technologies, thanks to which these busy Prague sections will finally be free of dead zones.
At the present time, we have completed or will complete by the 36th the construction and mobile coverage of the Vítkov and Krasikov tunnels.
Mobile operators say the signal in the tunnels should be available now. However, the Association of Mobile Network Operators points out that developing 5G underground is not at all simple. especially in longer sections like the Vitkov tunnel. In order for the signal to function there at all, workers had to stretch a special radiating cable along the entire length of the track.
It is actually placed on the wall along the entire length of the tunnel, positioned roughly at the level of the train windows, which is a perfect location for it, so that the signal can effectively spread through those windows and into the interior of the train carriage.
There are 2 of these cables placed in the tunnels, which should ensure a full signal in all passing trains regardless of where exactly the passengers are sitting.
We signed a memorandum of understanding with the Railway Administration approximately 3 years ago. The collaboration was excellent, where the Railway Administration secured a partner who created the necessary passive infrastructure that transmits the signal. And all 3 of the mobile operators in the Czech Republic installed the necessary active technologies,
which are specific in that they are sometimes, or most frequently, quite long and feature some degree of curvature. And therefore the usual method, meaning transmitting a signal from an antenna, does not always work. The walls of those tunnels reflect and dampen the signal, and that is the reason why we use those specific cables, which are essentially like a long antenna that is mounted along the wall throughout the entire length of the tunnel.
As part of the next step, the Railway Administration wants to issue a tender by the end of August for covering the dead zones between Prague and Česká Třebová. On this specific section, it should be finished by the end of the year 2027. A further project will then follow, which is focused on strengthening the mobile signal in other selected parts of the main railway lines. A total of 158 transmitters should be installed there through the joint efforts of the mobile operators.
And in order to make it efficient and fast, we divided the sections among the operators as part of an operator agreement. From this point of view, T-Mobile has a coordination function covering the Plana, Plzeň, and Prague sections, specifically the Beroun area. Then we have specific locations.
The entire installation of technology in the Vitkov and Krasikov tunnels cost nearly 73 million crowns. The project was, in fact, completely paid for by European subsidies from the National Recovery Plan.
And now, typical summer topic. Time by Vltava River. Its sites are one of the most popular places for relaxation, sports and refreshments in Prague and beyond. We focus not only on Žluté Lázně, but also we offer you some tips for other swimming pools.
Lying on a blanket, jumping in the water or playing beach volleyball, Prague swimming spots are no longer just for a quick cool down. Many have become all-day venues where athletes, families with children and cultural event visitors can all find something to enjoy.
We have kayaks, pedal boards, party boats, pedal boats, ping pong, and mini tennis. We also cannot forget the beach volleyball courts, which we upgraded this year to meet professional parameters, and there are roughly 30 sports available here.
At the Žluté Lázně complex in Prague 4, visitors can rent sports equipment directly on the premises or reserve it online in advance. Families with children will also find plenty to do here. There is a play area with climbing frames, a paddling pool, and a changing table for the youngest visitors.
We modified the area by planting grass and removing the sand, making it more comfortable for mothers, not just for the children. They can make use of the paddling pool, which is regularly maintained for hygiene.
However, not everyone heads here solely for sports or swimming, as public events are also a huge draw. A summer stage provides the cultural program here, hosting events like concerts, theater performances, or an open-air cinema throughout the season.
We will have all-day DJ parties where different DJs rotate to play various musical genres. We're talking to rock opera for 4 concerts. We also have stand-up.
If you prefer a classic swimming pool with a large basin, one of the most visited addresses remains Petinka in Prague 6. Even though a new indoor pool is currently under construction there, the summer operation of the swimming pool continues.
With a shallow end for smaller children. We have a water slide, a paddling pool for the little ones, attractions for children, an inflatable trampoline, boats, and aquazorbing, a children's playground, and grassy areas.
While the construction work temporarily reduced some sports facilities and parking spaces, the majority of the complex remains open.
We had 1,600 capacity. Now it's 1,300. Unfortunately, we had to cancel some attractions for this season. For example, beach volleyball and ping pong.
Also worth mentioning is the Hostivaž Reservoir with its extensive beach and the option to rent paddleboards. A popular place is also the municipal swimming pool Baden-Baden on Štvanec Island. It offers Vltava swimming, bars, and evening culture. In any case, wherever you go, it is worth checking how crowded the area is before you set off. You will often save yourself from waiting in a queue for entry, which is also frequently in direct sunlight.
Have you ever imagined what it takes to prepare a food for a tiger? Meat for large carnivores must first be specifically prepared and cut up in the breeding facility. And we show you what exactly the diet of a 10-year-old tigress Arilla at the Prague Zoo looks like. And do you know how often she eats?
One of the primary responsibilities for zookeeper Veronica is the preparation of the animal feed. The meat delivered to the zoo must be specifically processed and portioned out for every single animal. This is also true for the 10-year-old tigress Arilla.
Well, meat preparation takes time, depending on the quality. It usually arrives in good condition, so it doesn't take too long, and it's a matter of practice. Nevertheless, it is processed there to ensure there are no food labels, no large bone fragments, no excess fat, or perhaps some meat that is already a bit dried out. Ideally, it should be in good condition. As for the preparation, I have quite a lot of experience, so I can finish everything in about half an hour. I will weigh it now to see how much it weighs. And record it. We prep it into bowls for the animals.
The ideal diet for the tigress is varied. She receives beef and pork, but also rabbits, chickens, guinea pigs or quails, and sometimes even game meat. However, according to the zookeeper, the highest quality component of her diet is horse meat.
We are mostly working with chilled meat, which we allow to warm up to room temperature, and we feed it completely fresh. For example, freshly killed rabbits or chickens, and that is ideally fed as soon as possible. This looks good, so it'll be fast. We'll remove the worst bits.
The 10-year-old Arilla actually received a rabbit during our filming in the back of the enclosure, where she has absolute peace for her feeding.
And she actually has the choice of whether she wants to take it outside or stay at home. And in 90% of cases, she stays at home, where she simply eats the most to satisfy her hunger, and then it is possibly carried outside to be finished during the day.
The tigress receives meat 3 times a week. On the remaining days, she follows a fast that is natural for predators. Tigers in the wild have a similar regime, where they hunt primarily deer or wild boar. And they often only manage to make a successful catch once every few days.
That's all for this edition of Weekly News. Thank you for watching us, and we'll see you again next week with more stories, updates and inspiration maybe. Until then, take care and have a wonderful summertime.